Good. Find a seat on your mat, however feels most comfortable to you. Welcome. So nice to see everyone. Welcome to those that are practicing this on the recording as well. So happy you're here. So all month long, we're taking some focus on Yoga Sutra 1.1, the very beginning. And in this translation that I'm holding, it says, 1.1 says, "This is the teaching of yoga." Many translations of Atta Yoga Asanam are more along the lines of, "And now begins the practice of yoga." And so all month, just coming to the mat, taking the seat, standing, breathing, moving through the postures with a sense of a beginner's mind. Turn your gaze down low or close the eyes here if you haven't already. Let the other tensors and stressors of this day be set aside so that you can be fully present in each new beginning, each new pose of this practice. And I'm reading from a translation of the Yoga Sutras from Barbara Stoller Miller. And just right off the bat, I wanted to share with you guys the preface here, the first paragraph, as to how she introduces. It says, "At the heart of all meditative practice in Asia is what Indians call yoga, the system that yokes one's consciousness to a spiritually liberating discipline." I mean, just those words together, spiritually liberating discipline. In his Yoga Sutra, the ancient Indian philosopher Patanjali presents us with the possibility of complete psychological transformation through the discipline of yoga. Each of the 195 aphorisms that constitute the Yoga Sutra is part of Patanjali's scheme for radically altering our conception of the world and the structure of thought through which we relate to it. The text is neither a sacred scripture nor a historical artifact, but a set of physiological analyses that probe timeless dilemmas of cognition and obstacles to spiritual tranquility. Patanjali is not engaged in a search for new knowledge. Rather, he seeks a new perspective on the nature of knowing, a way to clear the mind of accumulated experiences and memories that bind us to a world of pain. Take it in, a few more breaths. There's a lot there. The pieces that stick out to me, though, are that yoga is all about finding liberation, but we can only approach that liberation through discipline, through the basic movements over and over and over, seeing a sense of beginning each time. And so today we'll practice primarily triangle pose, something you've seen over and over again. Come to it with a sense of discipline and yet freshness. We'll begin today nice and easy. Nod the chin down to the chest. And I want to go like up and down instead of side to side today. So then lift the chin, let the head move back. Nod down and up. So you're doing full range up and down for you. Good. And then lift your head so that it's in your center. And this is where we want to be in triangle pose. And the whole body, just like neutral. A lot of times we'll see the body more like we've nodded the chin down, or more like we've dropped the head all the way back. Just want it open, finding that neutral. Ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. Then what if you keep that neutral but look over your right shoulder? How far does the head turn? And then look back to the center and look over the left shoulder. And look back to the center. Okay, that's it. Come on over to all fours. Anytime you want to pad your knees with a blanket, feel free to, but otherwise just a nice clean mat to start with. And all fours, cat and cow. Again, playing with the motion of the spine here. Try to go your full range, dropping the belly down, pull the chest through, eyes and tailbone up to the sky. And then round the back, press down through the hands and knees. Drop the head. One of the things I always find in the yoga practice is like we're looking for the ways to make the poses and the practice feel good in our body. And yet, me as the teacher, I'm setting up a lot of rules and boundaries around that for the alignment. And you have to find sort of within the words that I'm saying, which pieces of the puzzle are most optimal for you. Starting off here in cat and cow, really finding the variety, the range that our spine can move in. And then how do you go back to a neutral spine? Look just a little bit ahead of the hands. Instead of letting the belly drop down and the butt widen, can we lift navel towards the spine to elongate the spine, and tailbone goes more towards the heels in this direction rather than up towards the sky. And extend your right arm out. Lift the right arm as high as the shoulder. What imbalances come in? How can you help to bring yourself back to neutral? Is the right side lifted? We'll stay here long enough to see those differences. Try to balance out shoulders and hips. And then lower the right hand down and try it on the left side. Extend the left arm out. Try to lift the upper arm bone to the line of the ear. I always need to press more weight into my right thumb. Or it feels as if there's more weight towards the inside of the hand to actually spread out the weight more evenly. Okay, and then lower the left hand down, trying to keep that neutral spine. Lift the right leg now. So the hips usually want to open somewhat to the side, the higher the leg goes. Try to keep the hip points, the anterior hip points, faced down towards the mat. Maybe flex the foot, turn the toes down, and that last signal of the big toe helping to guide how the hip is moving or send some awareness to the body. Extend the left arm out with the right leg lifted. All things we've done, just really taking it slow here. Left hand down, right leg down. Okay, and then left leg. Lift the left leg as high as the hip. but without turning the hips open. So again, maybe if you flex the foot and point the toes down, that appendage is going to help us know where the hips are in space as well. Try the right hand out. Work with your breath. Stay with it. Discipline to find liberation. And then lower the hand and lower the foot. Stretch to downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Pedal out the feet here a bit. And then get a little stiller in downward facing dog. Through a quietness, a stillness in body and mind. Is there anything you need to change, want to change? Okay, we'll change to child's pose, knees apart, big toes together, sit back. Reach the arms out long in front of you. Come back up to all fours. If you have a yoga block to work with, here's where I want you to grab hold of one first. Take the block in your right hand and just lift the block straight out to the side. Try to keep the block at the same line as your shoulder, and then open the torso more towards the side to make the block and the arm lift up towards the sky. Thread through for your twisted child's pose. Right shoulder, ear, side of the face down to the mat. Can you trade the block to the left hand and pick the left arm up to the sky? And really block straight up towards the sky. So noticing where the lines are. You can give the block back to the right hand. Come all the way up, and again, lift the right arm up to the sky. And lower it down. Okay, switch on over to the other side. So we do this plenty, yeah, just not with a block usually. Left arm straight out to the side. So this is different. The entry point is block arm as high as the shoulder, and trying to keep that line as you open. So if I do this, my block doesn't go all the way up to the sky in a straight line. It's like 80% of the way there. And then thread through, shoulder, ear, side of the face down. Change, hold the block in the right hand, send it up. So the head of the right shoulder here is probably turned more down, and it's likely, if you're a bit like me, easier to get this straight line. Okay, and then we're gonna let some momentum do the work to get the left arm back up to the sky. So trade the block again. As you push the right hand down to the floor, untwist, and sort of the whole body gets to help lift the arm up. So I've got it at 100% straight up and down here, but it's because I've let my shoulders and my hips kind of come out of that neutral frame of alignment. So what are we getting? What are we giving? Set it down, all fours. Go back to downward facing dog. Cool. Some other movement we're used to is step the right foot forward into a low lunge. Feel free to use blocks underneath the hands here to get a little more height the knees. And we'll just straighten and bend the right leg. Straighten and bend. Yep, you got it. Several times there. Warming up the joints. Okay, switch sides, left foot forward, right foot back. However you want to get it there is fine. Square off the hips and straighten and bend. If you're working with one block instead of two, good option is to have that block on the inside of your foot. That'll give you about the same amount of room and space. Of course, no blocks works too. Okay. And again, downward facing dog. Walk the hands all the way back into your toes. Standing forward fold, have a little bend in the knees, really hang heavy over the body here. And roll it on up to standing. Roll, roll, roll. Shoulders up and back a couple of times. And forward and down. Okay, come walk to the front end of the yoga mat. Our yoga hour sun salutations for this month. Lift the arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank. Lower flat down to the yoga mat. Shalabhasana, hands back behind you. Inhale, lift everything that you can up. As you lower down, push through child's pose to come to downward facing dog. Step the right foot forward to your lunge. Hands to the hips, come upright in the torso. Take it in for a beat here. And then arms to the sky, palms face it. Another breath. Lower the hands on either side of the foot. Step back to plank. Option to hold plank or put a push-up in between. Downward facing dog. And then left foot forward. Hands to the waist, lift the torso. Arms to the sky. Take a breath. Pull left hip back, right hip forward in space. Lower the hands. Step back to plank. Hold or add the push-up and into downward facing dog. Now there's 2 sets of lunges in each of these opening warm-ups. So again, step the right foot forward. Down dog lunge. Bring the hands to the inside. Spin the back heel down. Rotate the back toes in towards the top corner of the mat. And then reach the hands out towards that same top corner. With the block handy, feel free to use the hands under the block here. Free up even a bit more space to stay planted heavy in the legs. We'll move into the second side. I'm going to step backwards and then step the left foot forward. Hands to the inside. Spin the back heel down. Again, back toes turn in to face towards that top corner. And then hands walk out over that top corner as well. Feel free to set them underneath a little bit of height. Let's keep the breath, spaciousness in the belly open. Broaden out the front knee. a bit so that it gleans over towards the pinky toe side of the foot. And we walk it back in. Step both feet to the front end of the mat. Half lift, forward fold, stand up, arms to the sky, palms together, center of the chest. One breath. And again, begin. Keep seeking this path with discipline. Lift up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank. Lower flat down to the yoga mat. Interlace the hands behind your back. And lift everything that you can up. Release and press back to child's pose. Go to downward facing dog. Step the right foot forward to your low lunge. Quicker this time, come upright, arms to the sky. Lower the hands down. Hold plank or push up. Down dog. Step the left foot forward. Come up to high lunge, arms to the sky. Lower the hands, step back, plank or push up, down dog. Take a whole breath in and a breath out. Step the right foot forward. Come up to your high lunge first. Back heel stays lifted, hips square to the front. Okay, everyone, left arm up. Reach as high as you can. And then hinge forward at the hips. Go back to where we were in the beginning. Think of that all fours where we lifted and extended the left arm. I want you to keep the extension of the spine as much as you can and add the twist. Left elbow now to the outside of the right thigh. Nice breath to keep long in the spine. Keep toning and turning through the belly. Stack the hands, point the right elbow up to the sky. Think head neutral, look to the side, and try looking over the right shoulder, that top shoulder. Nice and slow. It might wobble and bobble in the body. If it's too much, don't do it. Nice and slow, look back to the side and down to the floor. As you untwist, extend the left arm again. Come all the way up. How's the breath there? Lower the hands down to the floor. Step back to downward facing dog. And then step the left foot forward. Come up to your high lunge. And send the right arm high. Hinge forward. Remember, keep all of the length that you can. And try right elbow to the outside of the left thigh. Stack the hands, point the top elbow to the sky. Breathe. Ever so slowly move to look to the side, move the head to look to the side, or even up over the top shoulder. Look back to the center and down, and step it all the way back. Again, downward facing dog. Look forward now to your hands. Step or jump to the front of your mat. Inhale, half lift. forward fold. Stand all the way up, reach the arms to the sky. Palms together, center of the chest. Okay, we've got one more round. I'm trying to be pretty methodical here. My computer was also being a little crazy, so I think we're all on track. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank. Lower flat down to the yoga mat. And this time it's cobra. Press down through your hands and your feet and peel the chest up, up, up. Excellent. Downward dog. Tuck the toes and lift the hips. Step your right foot forward to your lunge. Come up to high lunge, arms to the sky. Lower the hands back down, step back, plank or push up, downward dog. Left foot forward, high lunge. Hands down, step back, plank or push up, downward dog. Stay here, breathe here. All right, I'm taking this one a little different. Step the right foot forward again to the lunge. This time back heel down, turn the back toes in a lot. We're coming all the way up for warrior one. So lift the torso. Keep pushing the weight into the back leg and lift the arms up to the sky. Without changing the feet, open to the side like in warrior two, but it should feel as though the back leg is a little too extra turned in. Lift the arms back up for warrior one. If you're thinking, I don't know, that feels like my normal warrior two, rotate the back toes in just a little bit more. And then as you open again to the side, think hips still forward, but shoulders out to the side. We're trying to find those little changes that help us see the discipline of the practice. Arms up to the sky again. And then lower the hands on either side of the front foot. Step it all the way back. And step the left foot forward. Back heel down. Back toes should turn in a good 70 degrees. Come upright, arms to the sky, warrior one. Okay, so we keep the hips more in this forward direction, but turn the torso, the shoulders, open to the side like warrior two. And then go back to warrior one. Here's why I'm doing this. Go to warrior two. This is more of where your hip is in triangle pose. It's a little more like this than fully open like warrior two. Lift the arms up towards the sky. It's that middle point in between. Lower the hands down. Step forward. Half lift. Forward fold. Stand up, reach the arms to the sky. Palms together, center of the chest. And release the arms down. Give everything a little bit of a shake. Okay, watch really quickly. I'm going to hold a block here to hopefully emphasize this. When you do warrior one, you see just that side skinny part of the block. When you do warrior two, you see the full length of the block. When you're somewhere in between, you see the diagonal line. Oftentimes, what we're looking for in the discipline of this practice is to get triangle pose to be that just barely rotated in between. It's real hard to keep it all the way open without the shoulders or the hips going one direction or the other. So to keep the stack here, we're going to allow that back hip today to just slowly rotate a tiny bit forward and see how that feels. That's kind of the work that we're going to do in breaking down triangle pose. For the moment, blocks just off to the side. Keep all of that in mind. That's why I went through that difference in Warrior 1, Warrior 2 there. Stand at the top of your mat and try tree pose. Right foot onto your left leg. Pull it up as high as you can. Set the foot onto your leg above or below the knee. Point the knees straight out to the side, toes down to the floor. Judge your rotation here. Do you need the knee to stay a little bit more closed in? Does it work to point all the way out to the side? It's also giving you a good indicator of how open the hips want to be in tree pose. Arms up to the sky. When we can find our own boundaries, what are they today? It's different because a foot hurts, a hip hurts, a knee hurts. And acknowledging and working within those boundaries, I always think creates more liberation. Okay, second side, place your left foot onto the right leg. What's different? What's the same? Take it in. Arms up to the sky. It's so great that we know these poses. We know that we've come here before. It's all a new action, new opportunity, if you will, today. But you know where to place yourself. Okay, and then we can come on down. Shake it out a bit. Take a super wide stance, like wider than you think you want to, in the width of your yoga mat. Push your hips back, lean forward, take your hands down to the floor or underneath some height. Walk the hands out underneath the line of the shoulders. Extend from the hips out through the crown of the head. We go back like we did on all fours. Right arm straight up in line with the shoulder. Move it out to the side. Push down and out through your feet. Get a little more lift on the pelvic floor. Okay, keep that, and now try to rotate. Lift the right arm up towards the sky. The torso can help. The hips can shift. How much is necessary to get the hand to lift all the way up? Can you look up at the hand? Can you unshift in the hips a little bit? My answer is no, not right now. But I'm trying, I'm willing, within the discipline, to think of those subtle changes. And then bring it back down. Second side, left hand goes straight out. And then to the side. So front and then side, and then trying to keep that height, hand and shoulder. And the hand lifts because the torso changes. Can you favor one leg over the other so that the hips change to get the hand all the way straight up towards the sky? And then can you unfavor the hips? A little more tone in the belly, but leave the hand lifted. Maybe, maybe not. Lower it down. Heel toe the feet a step closer so they're not as wide apart if you were in that super wide stance. Turn your right toes out. I like to line up about heel to heel because it gives the width of the hips. If you have a more narrow frame overall, heel to middle of the back foot might work well. Okay, and then we're going to take the hands over towards the right foot on the inside. I'm going to mirror my block in the direction that I want my hips to be as well. I'm quite a visual person, so this helps. It may make sense to you or not. But one corner of your block is the front hip. I've got it slightly at a diagonal to signal the back hip. And I'm going to look at my block and kind of visualize how that stays in my hips. Back hip needs to stay lifted up and back, but the femur bone is turned in enough to make these two things work well together. Extend long in the torso. Hand can stay on the block to make this easiest, and lift the top arm up to the sky. Turn to look over that top shoulder. And then look to the side. Yep, and then look down. Take both hands to your hips and lift your torso upright. Good, we're gonna switch this over to the other side. You can be a little gentle on yourself as you do so. Back toes turn in a little bit. Front toes turn all the way out. And again, because we're going to allow that back leg to turn in towards the short side of the mat just a little bit. If I was in Warrior 1, it would be turned in a lot. If I was in Warrior 2, it would not be turned in at all. I'm going just a little bit. Set the block down, maybe how it mirrors the line of the hips. One hand down on the block. Long spine, try to reach your head past the front big toes. Right hand can help to lift the crest of the right hip a bit up, and then arm up to the sky, look up towards the top hand. Can you relax the shoulders and then your face? And then look to the side, but keep everything else the same. And look down, but keep everything else the same. Finally, both hands to the waist. Push through your feet to bring the torso upright. Okay, nicely done. Thanks for slowing things down with me. Shake out the legs. Come on to the front edge of the mat. From the top of the mat, inhale, lift the arms up to the sky. We're going to put all of this, we're going to put triangle pose into a flow with some other standing poses now. Exhale, forward fold. All things we've seen plenty of times. Inhale, half lift. Okay, keep the left foot forward now and step your right foot back into your lunge. Spin the back heel down, make the back toes face the long edge of your yoga mat, and prop your elbow up to the knee for side angle pose. Top arm, palm down, long reach overhead. Again, oftentimes I go into triangle pose from this much more open to the side hip. Today we're trying it just slightly turned in to check in. How does that work for the rest of the body? So as you take the right hand straight up to the sky, I'm no longer mirroring you. Turn the back toes in a tiny bit and go to triangle pose from here. Straighten the bottom leg and reach the bottom fingertips down to the floor. With the allowance of the hips, does it give you any more liberation to stay in the discipline of straight arms, straight legs, shoulders, hips in the same line? Come all the way upright and do full warrior two. So then you make those back toes adjust slightly out and rebend the front knee. Now for warrior two, don't let the back hip come forward. Try to broaden it out to the side. Should feel slightly different than in triangle pose. Low lunge. Now we pull up the back heel, rotate the hips all the way around. And we're taking this into half moon. You can use the block again. Stand on your left foot, left hand. Lift the right leg. Instead of trying to stack the top hip all the way open, it's that like 3/4 of the way. If you externally rotate through the standing leg, let the top hip lift and open about 3/4 of the way. Can the rest of the body more easily find the pose? Try looking to the side slowly here. Try looking up towards the top hand. Look back to the side. Look down to the floor. Stand on 2 feet. Standing forward fold. Stand all the way up, lift the arms to the sky. And bring palms together, center of the chest. Okay, second side. Lift both arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Keep the right foot forward and step the left foot back. Spin the back heel down. Bring the right elbow to the knee, left arm palm down overhead. So side angle pose, you get that fully open hip. Back hip does not get to drag down. We're trying to stay lifted enough that it's fully open to the side. Okay, and then we're just changing slightly for triangle pose. Turn the back toes in a little bit. Give yourself more effort there to extend. Straighten the right leg. Lift the left arm. Turn your gaze up. Stand all the way up. Warrior two, the back toes turn again towards the long edge of the mat. Bend the front knee. Don't let the back hip come forward. Now it needs to stay all the way out to the side, even if that means bending less deeply in the front thigh. Extend the arms out. Low lunge. Pick up the back heel, rotate all the way through the hip. Half moon pose, balance on your right leg. Right hand, lift up. With the left hand at the left hip, you can visualize open 3/4 of the way. Arm can go straight up to the sky here. Look to the side. And you can stop the gaze at any point. Try looking up. So for me, this slow change and play in the gaze and the hip, if I give myself just that little bit of leeway in the hip, I can be more open across the shoulders, chest, a little more vulnerable to change my gaze, and it works. When I have the hip all the way open, there's no way I don't even try to look all the way up. It doesn't work. My practice has taught me that. So where can the discipline of coming back and back and back to the practice again and again help? This time we just step back, step up to the front in a standing forward fold. I get to talking way too much. Standing forward fold. Hands to the waist, point the elbows to the sky, push down into your feet and come all the way upright. Okay, shake out the legs. I think because I'm breaking things down a little bit more and slowing it down, usually the full mute of Zoom doesn't bother me that much. But today it's hard not getting the feedback. So I hope it's coming across. Okay, let's do one more wide-legged stance. Just telling you my process. Forward fold and let yourself hang here. And then I want you to change to sit down. Okay, this is a pretty abrupt change, but it's why we have the blanket with us, so I want to make sure we get there. I want to do a heart opener over the blanket and or blocks. So you could do something like this, stacking blocks that you're going to lie back over. Head and upper back on a block. You can keep the blocks and cushion it with a blanket. If this heart opener feels a little too intense, use just a blanket. Roll it up like a Tootsie Roll. And here we are. I'm going to do this. Okay, so kind of find which of those prop positions might work best. Your body might lay on a blanket and immediately go into restorative yoga zone. And that's for you yourself to decide. I can't say that's not a great idea, but I'm going to add a little more to this. We want to keep the hips on the ground in whatever setup you have, so don't sit on the blanket. It's for the support of the spine. Arms out to the side. Okay, and I'm going to try with this open heart to create triangle pose-ish one more time. Take your feet as wide as your yoga mat. Flex your feet, so as if there's a wall or something to press into. And then pull your right knee up towards your right elbow. Arm to the inside. Can you grab the outside of your foot or your big toe there? And then extend the right leg as straight as it'll go. And that little difference of taking the feet as wide as the mat rather than just straight underneath you, I'm hoping gives some leverage and mirrors opening necessary on the right leg here for triangle pose. And then you're going to rebend the right knee and lower it down. You are up on the height to show how the chest, shoulders can shift a little bit to allow for the pose to come into play. So left knee towards the left elbow. Yes, I'm grunting. If you are, that's fine. It's a big hip flexor ask. And then can you grab hold of your foot? If you're like, nope, that's really far away, hold the front of your shin. And then when you straighten the leg, kind of just hold underneath the thigh. If you happen to have a yoga strap, that works, but I didn't ask us to get one out. Sometimes too many props is too many props for me. Stretch, stretch, stretch. You might be slowly falling towards one side or the other. That's a part of the seeing, part of the knowing. Pull it all back in. Bodhi. Okay, mini Shavasana, just stay as you are. Relax the arms, the legs, give a sigh. For as long as you want to stay on your prop, I am. Stay on the prop. If you're on blocks and it's feeling a little rough right now, feel free to come down and just lie flat on your back. Come to the soles of your feet though and treat your legs like windshield wipers from side to side. Windshield wipers from side to side. Nice and slow. And then Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees out to the side. I'm on my blanket, which means I've got blocks handy to prop underneath the thighs. If you've got a way to prop your thighs to make this a more relaxing position, go for it. And can you go to stillness here? Let the body, the mind more fully release. Confusion set aside. Open to your liberation. I ask you to stay in that moment of stillness and silence for just a little bit longer. slowly now emerge a little bit of movement in fingers and toes. Make your way up to a seated position. Gather the hands to Anjali Mudra, our gesture of offering over the place of the heart. I hope that throughout this day and this week you can continue to offer a sweetness to your heart, knowing that it's just the beginning. We're always just stepping in, but if we keep stepping in day after day with a sense of discipline, we'll get there. Let's close together in the sound of Om. Sing along, listen, or tune it out. Empty the breath, deep breath in. I bow to that sense of light, openness in you and each other, all beings. Namaste.